That kid in the yellow, kid grew up to be Mekhi Phifer.
Wow. Yeah, nah, that kid actually had a twin brother. I don't know which one of them this is. I never could tell them apart, but that's fitting. It doesn't matter who they are. Because one time, they trapped me in the bathroom and baked me for like 4 straight uninterrupted minutes after lunch. Like this was a merciless roast. Historical. I felt it for weeks. They were a truly diabolical set of twins. So yeah, they get to be immortalized as not only no-names, but hooligans in the tragic comedy known as This Is Melvin. But yeah, 5th grade was a blur mostly. I found out during the second half of the year that I'd be moving away, so there was this pretty strong air of finality. I'd never moved before, never lived anywhere else. Moving away was just a plot device I'd see on TV. Never thought it happened to me. I was shook. I spent a lot of time making arrangements. For instance, I made a list of all the girls I'd liked from preschool to 5th. Then I tried to figure out who I liked the most so I could give her this, love poem that my uncle had written for his girlfriend as a final act since I figured I'd never see her again. Yeah, I'm just full of bad ideas. Luckily, I couldn't decide who was the GOAT of the girls I'd encountered during my whole 10 years of life, and I just kept the poem in my pocket on the last day, supposing I would not speak then and forever hold my peace. But what is Melvin Burch if not a synonym for self-sabotage? With that being said, I'd like to discuss the C-Files. One of those girls who made the aforementioned list was a girl I just met in my 5th grade class that year. Her name started with the C, and I kept a notebook in my desk that was dedicated to her. Like a dweeb, I actually wrote the C-Files on the cover of the notebook. In the notebook, I'd write down what she'd worn that day, sappy things about how much I liked her, things I'd say to her if she ever talked to me. It was basically all anyone would ever need to bully me into oblivion. I knew I couldn't let it fall into the wrong hands, but part of me wanted someone to find it. Her specifically. But naturally, it didn't. So the story goes, someone took it from me right before lunch one day. It was probably Mekhi Phifer over here. Anyway, as you may know, lunchtime is like the lion's den, a complete free-for-all. Add diminished presence of authority to the already vicious jungle that is adolescent society, and you get a realm of unlimited horror. Add the C-Files to this equation, and you have my worst nightmare. On these very bleachers, I watched as the files were passed around, being declassified before my very eyes. I could feel my lunch threatening to fly out of my body without approval from air traffic control. My stomach was doing alley raisement flips. I was dead meat. My heart was going to be just another link on the schoolyard roasted shish kebab. It was only a matter of time before the C-Files found their way to C, and she would find her last 9 months of wardrobe choices, down to the excruciating details. She would find the description of how I loved the way her Pocahontas-like braid would lay ever so gently on her right shoulder. She would see that I planned to invite her to my birthday party, but it crossed out at least 29 different proposal lines, deeming them all unworthy of her. Which is funny because the day I was handing out invitations, she jokingly hit me with the, "Wow, and you didn't invite me?" I didn't even think you knew I existed. This is actually only the second time you've ever said anything to me. If you only knew, I would have invited you and only you if I knew you thought we were cool enough for you to come to my party. Back to the story though. With buzz rising exponentially, with dignity and ridicule inversely proportional, everyone had a question about the C-Files. Who is C? You know we're gonna show it to each girl unless you just tell us, right? What are you gonna do when she finds out? Hey, can I hold that cookie on your tray? Cause you don't look like you're gonna finish it. I couldn't take it anymore. No one was going to save me but myself. I, FBI agent Melvin Burch, would not negotiate with these terrorists regarding the C-Files. I would not be extorted. I could not sit idly by as these precious files made their way closer to her. In a panic, feeling it was the only thing I could do, I walked right up to C and told her, "I do not like you." Looking shocked and utterly confused, she offered no reply. I then stormed off to the other side of the playground, uncertain of what I had just done, but somehow feeling that I had taken the power back from my tormentors. In reality, this was me attempting to regain control of the narrative, only to bury myself even further. I completely didn't realize that through this action, I had not only done what they were already going to do, which was expose me, but did something totally contrary to the entire point of the C files. I told C that I didn't like her, knowing full well that I thought she was the greatest person to ever exist. Why? Well, inexplicable decisions can be made while under extreme duress. And I, my friends, am nearly always under extreme duress. I guess I figured I'd take myself out before they took me out, but I made it so that I would never be able to take her out. Go figure. Here's the wild part. Would you believe that I came to find out later that this sweeping sensation known as the C files had completely not registered on her radar prior to me going right up to her face and screaming, "I do not like you"? She had no context to my statement whatsoever, which is kind of hilarious in hindsight. But yeah, she didn't even know that I was on death row for the crime of being infatuated with her. She and her friend group apparently existed outside of the gossip bubble that most of the school was in. Apparently, she was so off anyone's radar, it's likely they never would have even considered the mysterious C was her, let alone passed her the notebook. I had destroyed myself for no reason at all, which might as well be added to the title of the show. This is Melvin, Destroyer of Self. That's it for book 2, though. Maybe on the director's cut, I'll tell you about the time I got a concussion from a projectile walkie-talkie, or the first and last time I ever stole something. Sorry, dude. Or the time I was too scared to dance with the other C, who I would later realize was the one who should have received the poem on the last day of school, leading to a lifetime of regret, despair, and stalking. Anyway, I'll see you all for book 3, aka middle school, aka 99 missing assignments, but this ain't one, aka I didn't know that word was slang for female genitalia, otherwise I wouldn't have called him that, aka Melvin, why is the browser history empty? Later.